have such a. So we're good on that. Our documentation is there, and so we start with the UA student team. Tomorrow we've got a kickoff meeting with the high performance computing center guys, and they have told us we're going to cut over to the new server within the next week, whether we like it or not. So we've got most of the stuff working on there. I have all the disks of Grape 2 data from last year converted over to digital RF and plotted, except for one of them, and that can be accomplished within a few hours. And so I think that what I've got them talked into is this. We're going to get the new server running as best as we can, try and copy all data over to it. We're going to try and improve security by putting all accounts into what we call jailed mode. That was something created by Franco. His design for that is what we're using, so that people could only see their own data as far as being able to directly touch it, but everything is accessible through the website. So what we've got it talked into is once we cut over, we're going to temporarily point the existing URL, which is pswsnetwork.caps.ua.edu. We're going to change that so that it points to the new server, so that at first people won't have to change their URL and their uploading configuration. So that's what we're planning to do. And all right, I think that's about that. Oh, one little item was, since we talk about antennas from time to time, I got my 2-meter beam back on the tower and working, and I copied some MSK 144 spots on 2 meters. Unfortunately, in the process of doing that, somehow I managed to damage something on the 6-meter antenna. So it's receiving, but you can't transmit on it. This SWR on it went sky high. So I think I might have gotten the coax pinched somewhere. So I got to crank it down again and work on that. But anyway, that's price of progress. So we do have the ARRL UHF VHF contest coming up on the, I think it's the 12th and 13th. So if anybody wants to participate on that, I'm going to try and participate in that, and a lot of spots will be generated, mostly FTA, I expect. So there's nothing new in the world of getting people converted over to upload to the PSWS system rather than the WWV server. We've got, it looks like, about 20 people who are still uploading who did not respond, and we'll have to start working with them one-on-one to get them to get on board with that. But these other things have been taking priority over that, since we were able to take some of the load off the WWV club server by downloading a lot of the stuff, putting in a PSWS. I can do that manually and then deleting it from the club server. There's gets to be so much out there that the normal tools don't work, because things like doing a directory runs out of memory. I mean, that's how full that server has gotten. But we've gotten to the point where I do have a working process for getting data off of it and loading it into the UA server. So it's not a real urgent matter, but we do need to get that done at some point. So that's my report. Back to Ned.
Okay. I think we're all good on discussion on that kind of stuff. Christina, do you want to go next?
Sure. Let's see. The next thing on my list was the PSWS charrette web form. Let me drop the link in the minutes in chat, and we can take a look. And I'll just put that there for now. Let's see. It should appropriately redirect from any of these options. So
Can you select all that apply to you in this list?
yep, you're supposed to, but it looks like that one's stuck in radio buttons, so let me fix that.
Sorry.
No, not sorry. That's what that's why I'm asking. Let's see. Multiple save. Okay. If you refresh, that should be fixed. In theory. Yep.
Does
Lovely.
PSWS maintainer, is that to imply that you've got your own station or you're like working on software with Bill or something like that, or?
That's a good question. I have it as that implies that you're running a station, but I can add a clarification for that. So,
Yeah.
you know, let's see.
Why do you differentiate between a scientist and a full-time scientist?
Because I figure that people in the community will want to identify as scientists and ham radio operators, but like I think we might have some people who are like, well, I have my ham radio and I want to contribute, but I'm not really interested in the science part, and then other people who want to check the science box.
You want to have it be like citizen scientist or professional scientist?
Sure. And I'll put for PSWS maintainer, I'm putting in parentheses after that station host.
That
Good.
sounds good.
That should clarify it. All right, so if you refresh it, it should show up now. I do still need to add some I think we talked last week about having sort of more clarity about what exactly is this is for for people who are coming to it without as much information. But the main ways people are likely to come to it are through the HamSCI newsletter or the HamSCI mailing list. So
Or through the
there are at least
professional
some-
communities, right? Because you're gonna reach out to like AGU folks and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's true. So I should have some more information about that as well. All right, let's see.
I think
over
this
here in-
looks very
Yeah.
good, Christina.
Thank you.
I'm not sure that I have any additional comments.
Sounds good.
Does anyone else have any additional comments?
So are we also soliciting people's ideas for data collection systems like additional SDRs, or is this just solely for the server?
It's really just supposed to be for the server. The
Okay.
real, I mean, yeah, I don't think I really want to take additional, yeah, so maybe,
So the thing is, I think that we can say, you know, this survey is just for information about the server, but I do suspect that people will also put in other stuff. And that's
Mhm.
why I left like hardware on there as an option. Because I'm
Yeah, that's
expecting
what I
that
was
I'll have
wondering.
some amount of like
yeah,
feedback to sift through. You know, at some point I'll close it and then I'll take everything and kind of say, okay, here's some different piles, you know. And there will be a pile for things that people ask for that really don't fit in with anything we're looking for. But some of those things might be worth noting. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I don't think it hurts to leave that on there because you can easily filter it out,
Yep.
and and with all the public messaging, we can really be like, give us responses about the API and the database and things like that. But there might be some spillover.
Sounds good.
I can start by let's see, I can kick one thing off right now. I'm filling out your form, Christina.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So I'm putting in my name, my call sign, my email address. I am an amateur radio operator. I'm a professional scientist. I'm a station host. I'm a contester. Yes, I plan on using images, data files, probably all of those APIs.
Yep.
This is going to be about the database and PSWS software in general, and integration of VLF software, data and software. The VLF system collects processes and collects data using a package called VLF RX tools. We need a method to convert the processed data into digital RF and make it available on the HamSCI PSWS database. The University of Scranton. There, it says, thank you, your submission has been received.
Wonderful.
All right, so there, I put one in, Christina.
Thank you. And then if I go on the back end and look at this, there's
We can take a few minutes now to let people try out the form because there's probably ideas that people have on here that we can do it like my classes where you have 10 minutes to go fill out this form and put your idea in. And that way, if anyone has questions about the form or something comes up, they can ask us in real time.
That works for me. I have your response here in the response file. I can also see that you were not logged into the HamSCI words. I can see you weren't logged
So-
into your HamSCI account when you made it because it gives me your IP address, but when I filled in a test response, it actually linked it to my account.
Interesting. So, yeah, how about if we give everyone 5 or 10 minutes to think about, take a look at the website, the database, and if there's something you'd like improved, or if there's something you think we need, a new feature we need to add to the personal space weather station system, go ahead and fill out this form.
Yes, please.
One of the things that we need to figure out is how to handle it when people want very large packages of data. Like, for example, the 8 kilohertz wide data coming from the Grape 2, every day of data is 4 gig, even when it's compressed.
Mhm.
So if somebody wants a whole lot of that, to me, it's kind of unclear as to how we're going to get it to them.
And I would think that should be handled through one of the APIs, either the Python or Madrigal API.
Well, yeah, it's doable, but I just don't know how to. There's no way to guarantee good performance on that, simply due to the large volume of data.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's something we ought to talk about at some point in more detail, because we are talking about putting together a happy, that's the heliophysics API, which allows you to look at data, look at what it looks like, which means you have to have a summary of it available for the system to display, because it's so large that the performance of trying to do that dynamically would be absolutely terrible. We don't have funding to devote a supercomputer to this.
Right.
Anyway, just thought I would throw that in, something to keep in mind.
And I think with some of these features, I don't know that we're going to have the answers to how to do all of these things that we want right now. And I think that's, once we get a bunch of these things, we kind of prioritize what we think needs to be done. I think then we're going to have to spend time thinking about how to actually implement it.
Yeah.
Make them magical. I wonder, Bill, I'm submitting this right now. Is it feasible to basically create a Madrigal backend to the database so that as things go into the database, they also show up in the Madrigal system. And then you just use the whole Madrigal API and ecosystem. And I know the Madrigal people, they have to deal with very large files as well. And so the more we're able to align our API with the Madrigal API, we're already using digital RF. If we basically use the same ecosystem that MIT Haystack is using, try to use the same system, we can leverage the things they've already done. And then when we have issues like this, they can probably help us come up with creative ways of solving them. And then it also makes our database immediately more usable by the professional community, since it's going to be using a access system that the professional community is already using.
Yeah, that's definitely worth a serious consideration.
Yeah, because I think if we can avoid having to invent a new API, and there's a lot of similarities between how the Madrigal system is set up and what we're doing, because Madrigal has this idea of experiments, and then they break that down into day files. And we have so each of our different, like an RX 888 is like an experiment, magnetometer is like an experiment in Madrigal. I think there's a lot of things in our system that can be mapped to what they're doing in Madrigal. It also might be a route to getting more funding, because if we write like, we don't have Madrigal integration written into the original proposal. So, but that's something that would be, I think, useful and compelling it could be a useful and compelling proposal, and it could both help us and MIT.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know if we got the bandwidth to do both that and a happy interface, but we're gonna have to, on a.
Well, that's what, and
Yeah.
the happy interface is also supposed to work with Madrigal. I agree, we should just use one, but I think before we go saying exactly which one we use, happy is supposed to work with Madrigal. Madrigal's like, I think we should, we should look at these, and maybe you, me, Christina, Phil Erickson, Catherine Cariglia, John Vandergrift, maybe all have to get in a room together and figure out what the best way to integrate all of this is. But I don't think we need a separate Python API and a separate Madrigal API, because Madrigal already has a Python API. So if we implement one and implement it well, it will take care of all of these issues.
And if once we've collected the feedback of what people want out of a Python API, it's like, oh, Madrigal has all this stuff, then everything we collect during the charrette can also support,
Right,
what direction we want to take.
right. But I think trying to get these databases to talk to each other as much as possible is really in everyone's best interest. The other thing that's nice about Madrigal is I know it's a federated system, so it is designed so that, the personal space weather station data can live in Alabama, and the Madrigal, like the ISR data, can live in MIT, but the system's able to see both.
Has everyone had time to fill this out who wants to?
Can we go around the room and ask people what different features they submitted?
Or I can just take a look at the results.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I posted something that was an encapsulation of what we just talked about, just to have it captured.
Let's see.
Christina, did you want to share that?
Yeah, let me just show you what the screen looks like with the feedback information. 1 second. Screen share not quite cooperating. There we go. Okay. So here's Nathaniel's original piece of feedback. The VLF system processes and collect data using a package called VLFRX tools. We need a method to convert the process data into digital RF and make it available.
Actually, it's good. Jonathan Rizzo already submitted basically the identical thing, but his
Yep.
is more detailed than mine.
Yeah, exactly. And also, he and a few other people put some stuff on that canny.io page that we set up, which I am gonna migrate over to this.
That's great.
I'll probably kind of manually go in and add them, but it'll all end up in the thing. Let's see. There's the magical backend to PSWS database question mark. Here's David McGaw with 4-channel receiver, a synchronized receiver channels to allow multiple using antennas for beamforming and angle of arrival measurements. And here's Bill with PSWS data available using magical compatible interface. Can this be integrated with a happy interface question mark? And then we've got, you know, the other sort of like general comments thing for people, you know, that like, yeah, this is really good. Okay, so as anyone was adding their stuff in there, did you have anything where you were like, oh man, I'd really like to say such and such or give such and such input, but there isn't really a spot for it? Or did this pretty much cover what you needed for being able to put information in?
I was happy with it.
Cool. I think we can probably start sending it out then.
Yeah, it worked for me real well.
Awesome. All right, hamsci.org/charrette, either spelling, tell your friends. I'll clean up the top of the page. That's the only thing, is sort of like making sure that the AGU crowd, etc., have some idea what they're looking at. Right now, I just got, I think, a link to the PSWS page, but I can add a little more exposition. That won't affect the form, though. We can at least send it out to the HamSCI list.
Okay, any other discussion on the charrette? Any other old business?
I can talk about if our new site, Daisy site that's up. There's any interest in that?
Yes, I think there is.
Okay, well, I didn't mean to interrupt this, but yeah, I think you're aware that we last week brought up BK5ARG, yeah, north of Adelaide, has is now contributing uh, uh, to the Daisy. It's a registered Daisy site, and I thought they're so far away that would they really be able to contribute useful measurements? As it turns out, if I don't know if you want to let me share, I can show you the last 24 hours of what's coming from really the other side of the world. I mean, this is Adelaide, Australia. So it's I think the sharing is disabled for me at the moment. Maybe, oh, there it goes. Where do I, there it is. So this suggests the value of having DAISY sites outside of the continental US. So this is VK5 ARG. It's a radio club outside of that maintains a site, remote site, 60 miles north of Adelaide, Australia. It's on and it's the guy who operates it works for the Australian Ministry of Defense on over the horizon radar. So he's very knowledgeable about setting up a receive site. So even here at 2.5 megahertz, this is 24 hours out in Adelaide, even at 2.5. Look at that. I mean, there's 12 hours of useful observations there. This is, as I scroll down, this is CHU coming through, 3.3 megahertz. Here's 5 megahertz. Now, listening to this, of course, the stronger signal is the Hawaii WWV, but you can hear the my cat is treading on the keyboard. Okay, it didn't disturb anything. The but even so, if you listen to it, you can hear both. These are both Hawaii and Fort Collins are coming through. And these are good, strong signals. Now he's put together a really excellent receive system and antenna system and done a lot to mitigate against noise. But as we go up, you can see here 15 megahertz. Probably we're seeing both carriers here, where you can see the two strong carriers that diverge there in the middle of the day. Anyway, I think it's a source of really interesting information that potentially could contribute significantly. I think I previously, right?
No, I wanted to point out what we had noticed before is 20 and 25 megahertz are coming through, and those have to be coming from Fort Collins.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Well, if you listen, you can tune. He has some Kiwi SDRs and so on are there, and you can listen to well, I can listen to the RX 888 audio and tune to it. And you can hear the male voice, so it's clear sometimes the day that Hawaii and Fort Collins are equally strong signals. So we have, I think you guys are aware that we have shipped off it's now in the UK, a set of Whisper Demon grape systems that are going to Ascension Island and to St. Helena this fall. And there's a Whisper Son transmitter that'll probably end up on St. Helena because that's where we have a local ham to host it. The one in Ascension, there's no ham on Ascension, so it'll probably be only a DAISY receive site. But there's a museum there that is eager to host our equipment. So there'll be so that's probably going to happen in about a month. That was so this work on the has been obviously for me very gratifying to see this. Now the other thing I've done that I'm trying to move this. It's sharing is stopping me from seeing the is that I put up my own GPS discipline whisper transmitter this week on 22 meters. So this is a 22 meter dipole hung between the trunks of the tree at 2 meters above ground here outside my office window, transmitting 5 milliwatts of ERP. And I did have several spots from that site down there you can see he picked me up in Australia with a 5. Now it says 20 milliwatts, but actually I had to correct it. When he picked me up, my transmit packet was advertising that I was transmitting more than the legal limit is 5 milliwatts and this is an unlicensed band internationally, so it requires no amateur license in order to operate such a transmitter. So the transmitter that I'm using is a device called an RF0, which is has a GPS U-blocks on it. So you attach a GPS antenna, puck antenna to it, and it has a 5351 on it, which means that limits the transmit power to basically it's something like 10 milliwatts, but by the time I have a bandpass filter on it to make it nice and clean, and the transmission line and so on with all the losses, the effective ERP is at the 5 milliwatt level. So these transmitters, this thing costs $77. If you want to experiment with GPS and transmitters, and this is a GPS DO. This is perhaps more stable than than the Bogner. It's really an extraordinary development environment, and a wonderful product from Bo in Denmark. $77. So that's what I'm using as my transmitter. And as you can see,
Quick question, Rob. As a GPS DO, can it use an external oscillator? Do you know?
I believe it can. I do
That's
believe that you
excellent.
can. Yeah, it's a marvelous platform, and I really, if you want to do some experimentation or even put up your own little transmitter, you don't need no license. Although you can tune it, it will run stably. I think you can if you are careful about the temperature environment, you can run this thing. I think you can run it up to the 1 gigahertz band, and whisper transmits up there. So this is it's our Arduino development environment. He provides many application programs you can load into it. So the Whisper Beacon program that I'm running on it is only one of 40 different programs. And he's a great support, great community of this. Just search for RF0. You can, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to be doing some more experimentation with it. I'm going to put up a vertical, make this a vertical dipole and put it in a better location. And I expect to gain 10 dB or more of transmit efficiency and lower radiation angles. So I'm hoping I can make it, see this thing make it to Europe. I do have all of the Whisper Demon grave sites listen to 22 meters. So if you transmit on 22 meters, any other, but including it, there are dozens of sites listening for your transmissions. So if you look at this map, let me close this. You can see among the sites that receive it are actually the most sensitive sites, and I'll finish this, is in fact Jenny Jump. In fact, it's probably the most sensitive of the East Coast sites for receiving my transmissions. So on 22 meters, Jenny Jump is really working very well. So this is
that's impressive, and that's using the antenna that you said was gain starved.
It's completely. It's a half wave dipole, made with number 24 wire.
But even the Jenny Jump receive site, it's using the older version of the DX Engineering Active Vertical, not the new one. And you said that it was the gain was too low on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's as you can see, that's Jenny Jump receiving. Here is let's look at the spots from K3LR. See, it's less sensitive. Now, again, they're geographic diversion, so you can't, it does at this power level. We're very sensitive to skip jump, skip locations. Here is George Burkett in. So those are the three great receive sites that picked up my transmissions. Oh, well, on the East Coast, there's others, elsewhere that are around. But you can see there are sites that are listening for me. There are great sites all over here. And in fact, One of the sites is Michael's mother's house up here in North Carolina, North Dakota. He did quite well. Anyway, I did a little show and tell, but I thought if anything, it would encourage others that if if you're interested in these are GPS stabilized, so that the Doppler shift information is useful from these devices. So these are the program. This is not a whisper sound in the sense that it only transmits on one band at a time. But you could use this to scan bands, run through scan, each 2 minutes, move to a different band. So one could put together for the cost of that $77 plus, I don't know, $10 of shipping, and a wire, the dipole that you can construct from $2 worth of, you can construct your own WWV at your house, and no license needed. But or you could move it, go to put it on a whisper band too, just scan through whisper bands. There's only two unlicensed bands, below in the shortwave. There's the ISM band at the 13 megahertz, and then there's the CB band. We know is CB, but up at 27, less useful because it's not open as much. But both are you. Okay, that's my show and tell. And thank you, Nathaniel. We are working on. We do have Paul Elliott has the time sync hardware, time reference hardware, is been tested successfully at Scott Newell's. So Scott has a software that extracts and aligns the wave files so that they're within. I think we believe that the underlying accuracy is on the order of 100 microseconds or better. Well, the transmit synchronization is one a microsecond. So that the start time of the time calibrator is accurate to better than 1 microsecond. The accuracy of the received wave files is a function of the demodulated bandwidth. If you have a 1 kilohertz wide receive signal, you're limited to 10 milliseconds of wave file accuracy. But at least for one sample. But we are going to. Scott is going to. I think or Paul or Scott are going to forward me that, and we're going to that hardware and software, and I'm staging it here, and then we're going to ship it off and set up upgrade WWV0, the receive site, so that it has this hardware, and we can use it as we have been using it as a kind of reference and calibration and validation site. We're going to be using it to validate the accuracy of the time measurements using the system. So I believe that hardware, Paul's hardware and this software, are something we should include in all of the Whisper Demon DAISY sites. Paul is revising his design to incorporate GPS U-blocks in it, so it doesn't require still another Bogner. And in fact, we're encouraging him to also include a 27 megahertz GPS disciplined output, so that we could have a sidecar for the 888 that had a GPS antenna, took the RF from the antenna and injected that time sync and output the 27 megahertz clock that be attached to the 888's external clock input. So no Bogner required. It would be all Paul's one box accessory. So we'll see. That's a longer term, maybe a longer term project, but Paul is, when he gets onto things, he can go for it, and he has all of the software and hardware components implemented. So it seems to me that we could look forward to having all of the sites doing time accurate recordings. I don't know if I don't know how we would use them, but but potentially, of course, you can get time of flight measurements from this to the accuracy of the really the transmit signal is the issue here. Is it what kind of transmit signal can we be measuring to, because the bandwidth of the transmitted signal determines the accuracy of the received timing of the transmission timing. So Paul, I don't know what accuracy we got from the experiments that have been done using the chirp tones on WWV. I think that there are the orders of tens of kilometers, right? So I don't remember that. I didn't pay attention to those accuracies, but with using a pseudo-random modulation source rather than the BPSK or other, or looking at the chirp in WWV. But if instead we put in a pseudo-random noise on the whisper sounds at WWV, potentially we could we might be able to, in a FCC compliant, regulation compliant modulated signal, we might be able to get a resolution down to 300 meters of transmission, so that's the other project that's underway that Paul and Scott are primarily the ones doing it, although Phil Karn is contributing a little bit. There's also the other thing that's happening is that Phil has incorporated multi-channel combining. So he has 2 channels now, so he can do in software, he can do beam steering. If you have two receive antennas and 2 HARGS 888s, we can synthesize multiple receive patterns from the 2 signals, and that's now supported in the K9Q software. So we're progressing in the temporal domain and in making progress in dramatically increasing the resolution of the system in the temporal domain. Okay.
That's excellent.
I'll put a link if you haven't found it. I don't know. Was it Bill or was David? Were you asking about the RF0? It's pretty easy to find.
I did find it. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. For what it's a wonderful tool. I just
Rob, I just put the link up on chat for everyone.
Okay, good. Yeah, you buy it direct from him, and you just select the cheapest mailing method, and you'll get it surprisingly quickly. Unless, of course, the tariff regimen has probably has interfered with international. In fact, it might have. Well, you can't send it post because the National Post, I think, are no longer allowing individual mailings because there's uncertainty of our tariff and customs structure. But I think the DHLs and FedExes and others will still deliver an order internationally.
Great. We are at 11 o'clock.
The 2 guys.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns, or updates? All right. 73, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Okay.
7-3.
7-3.
Right.